afternoon, traders. Today is Saturday, December 17th. And I have a request of you guys. I want you to watch for something on Monday. And if you guys are eager uh, students, watch Sunday night futures for something. And that is, if futures are up and generally stay up all night and into the morning, if futures are still just up, right? Not up by a lot. I'm not looking for anything like that, but just still green in the morning. Because what I think we just might actually be in the middle of, or not in the middle of, sorry, in the beginning of, is another potential upcycle beyond the Santa Claus rally. Okay, now, if I've got your curiosity, I'm going to show you why I say that. This slide that I presented last night really got me thinking about this point where we are today. This is the daily, right? This is the daily daily SPY. And I believe this point that we're at right here, where my cursor is, my pointer is, I believe we are stopping right there in the positive. And at the very least, we are now going to flatten out and then go back up in the positive. Okay? And I'm going to show you, this next slide is the only slide I have, but it's a pretty loaded slide. I'm going to show you why I say that. Because I kept thinking about it, like, I don't think the market's plan is to just smash through this trend line that everyone likes to talk about, right? The 200 moving average or the 200-day moving average or whatnot, right? I don't think that's actually the plan. I think it's just trying to carve out a bottom. And in the next slide I'm going to show you, I think yesterday, Friday, marked the end of a cycle. I'm just going to call it a pivot cycle for now. You'll see what I mean in a minute. A pivot cycle that started on November 3rd, which is the day after Jay Powell mic dropped everyone. Okay? FOMC was on 11/2 when he just mic dropped everyone. And yeah, let's get to that. But in the next slide, this will be shown again just for reference, because we're going to get to the details of this circle right here. Okay? Because I do believe it is in the same comparison with all of 2021 leading up through January 1st. We are in this comparative pattern and not 2022's pattern. And I'm going to show you why in a second. Okay, so here it is. So what you just saw is now all scrunched up here, right? So just so you can keep your bearings on. Okay, so here's that little circle. That's where we are today. This little circle is equivalent to this section right here. See that? But this section is kind of flattened out a little bit. But you can kind of see it, right? It's coming up, creating a little carve out right here, a little flattened notch, and then it's going up, and now it's coming down, similar to what's in that little circle right there. Okay. Now, let's talk high level for a second. Starting from the 1 hour. Okay, so first of all, here's the daily. So here's the daily chart right here. Daily chart. Here's the daily MACD. This is the 4-hour MACD that corresponds to the daily MACD. Here's the 1-hour MACD down below. See, I wanted to stack them vertically and then draw arrows so you could see the correlation. So, instead of doing things like scrolling left, right, it's just easier to look at it stacked vertically. Okay? Now, Since the October 13th low, roughly right here, we've had 3 pivot points. That's what I'm calling, that's what I was referencing earlier. Pivot points. The October low. Okay, and what I'm talking about, I'm referring to the 1 hour MACD down here. The 1 hour MACD creates a pivot point below this red line, which is the negative 20 line, right? That I've been referencing in previous videos. Here's that red line, the negative 20 line. Anything above it is bullish. Anything below it is bearish. Okay? We've had 3 major pivot points beneath the negative 20 line, right? It was on November 8th, actually. November 8th. I'm sorry, October 8th. October 8th. November 3rd. And Friday. Yesterday. Okay? Now, sticking to this theme of pivot points on the 1 hour MACD, I noticed that what the markets have been doing is it's starting from the October low. In this case, the MACD low was on October 8th, actually. And then it made a huge, it made a big notch. It made its first higher low notch from coming down below the negative 20 line. See this notch right here? Higher low notch right here. It corresponds to, on the 4 hour MACD on 1011. So here, this is 1011. This little notch that started down here came up here and created a higher low. That corresponds to 1011 4 hour. Notice on the 4 hour, it pivoted up. Okay, so notice that first thing. So when the 1 hour creates a notch, the 4 hour pivots up. Because that's what I'm saying. On Friday, we created that higher low notch, and now we're starting to go up from it. And you're seeing now the 4 hour starting to flatten out. And I think you're going to see a continuation of that. Okay? So, and then on the daily, how does that correspond? So that started to pivot up. On the daily, that stopped the daily downtrend right there. Right there. It marked the bottom of a fall. Right there. 1011. Because the next day, that was the surge. That was the surge. CPI. Okay? So that's the first example. Here's the second example, 1021. Okay, 1021. So it creates another notch right here on 1021, right here. Come up. What did it do on the 4 hour chart? The 4 hour was coming down, 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 but boop, got stopped right in its tracks and pivoted because of the notch. See that? Pivot. It stopped right in its tracks, 4 hour. Again, that's what I think the 4 hour is going to do that on Friday right here. What did it do on the daily? Because the 4 hour stopped right at the 0 line, that's actually quite bullish when it's at the 0 line. See that? At that line. That allowed, see this arrow? That allowed the uptrend to keep going. The rally to keep going. See that? Here's the MACD separating from the signal line. It allowed it to keep going. Okay? So when the 4 hour pivots at or near the 0 line, because the pivot is enabled because of the notch on the 1 hour, that allows the rally to keep continuing. Okay? Now, let's go to the J Powell mic drop. This bad boy right here. It was this one. This one here. This was 11-2. Or was it? Or was I think it was this one. It has to be that one. Okay. FOMC. J Powell mic drops. And the 1 hour MACD was falling. Notch on 11-3. Let's go up. What did that do to the 4 hour? Obviously, the 4 hour was falling. Stop, pivot, go up. Notice where it stopped and pivoted is roughly the same level as where the 10-11 MACD stopped and pivoted. I drew this yellow dotted line just for both contrast, and you can see the level where pivot points on the 4 hour start. Roughly equal. Roughly. Pretty much. Plus or minus, but roughly equal. So what happened on 11-3 when the 4 hour pivoted due to the 1 hour notch? Notice on the daily, it was coming down, but if you look real closely, that MACD flattened out. It flattened out. The fall, the descending angle stopped and flattened out. And notice that that's above the zero line. Above the zero line, guys. On the daily. So, you guys remember this. J Powell mic drops everyone. Holy hell. Everyone's like, we're going to crash. We're going to crash. Because everyone knew what was coming up the next day. CPI. Right? We're like, oh, it's over. Right? But yet the MACD, starting from the 1 hour notch, stopped the 4 hour right in its tracks, equal to the 10-11 low. 4 hour pivots up. The 1 day, the daily, flattens out above the zero line. And what does that allow you to do? Remember the last time that the 4 hour stopped around the zero line. That allowed the rally. This here allowed the rally to continue. This allowed it to go up. You still have power. If your daily is the daily MACD flattens out above the zero line, you're not going down. You're not going down, guys. Like, hands down. You're not going down. You're not going down. Okay? So, what happens? Comes up, and then we get, so it comes up three days in a row, in fact. 3 days in a row after J Powell mic drops you. 3 days in a row, we got 3 up days, right? 3 green candles. Pullback, because everyone's thinking, oh crap, CPI tomorrow, right? But that's when we knew CPI was cool and then surged. But anyways, okay. So yes, so here is, so check this out. So went green for 3 days. Now we're falling down. Let's look at the fall down right here. 11:10. Yeah, that was the morning of CPI. So the 1 hour falling, but pivots above the -20 line, right? Doesn't necessarily make a pivot point, but it pivots above the -20 line, which by the definition I use, that's bullish. You pivot above it, that stops the MACD right in its tracks near the zero line. Okay? Near the zero line. And, oh, I think I might have been drawing my arrows a little bit off. I should have been more tied with this one here. That's okay. It's the same effect. It oh, I think I should have drawn the arrow right here. That's okay. It's all right. It's it's still bullish because see that? It stopped the daily still above the zero line, right in its tracks. You're above zero and it stopped it. And now you rocketed up from CPI. Okay? Right there. It's above the zero line and you're rocketing up now from CPI. Because that 4 hour it pivoted real close to the zero line, just like this one did. And you got a rocket ride from that one too. Well, I wouldn't say rocket ride, but the rally continued up. This one was the rocket ride from CPI. Okay? So I think this 11, let's just call it 11.3 pivot right here, down here, was the beginning of a month and a half long cycle that ended yesterday. Because yesterday creates a new pivot. 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 You follow? Notice how this first pivot, okay, this pivot, here comes a hump, surge. And then you're successively making lower lows until you get to the next pivot that stops the lower low. Just like this. Just like on 10-11 or around the 10-13 low. Surging up, surging up, surging up, surging up. Now you're coming down, coming down, coming down, making lower lows. Like, right, that's a lower low than this. And this is probably a lower low than that. See that? Lower lows, lower low, lower low, pivot to stop it. Notch to stop it. Notch stops the decline in its tracks, stops the 4 hour in its tracks, stops the daily from declining. You see it now? Well, we got another pivot on Friday, guys. That's the one I sent out the alert. We got it. We got the pivot. We got the pivot. So here's what I want you guys to look out for. Sunday night. Futures are green. Just a little bit. What that means is it's hanging out by the zero line. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be, whoa, way up, way up, way up. No. All you gotta do is stay at the zero line. Don't be doing this crazy stuff like, oh, way down, way up, way down, way up. No. Just stay there. Just stay there all night. Just float. That's what I call float. Just float. We don't need crazy swings like all this mess. Just float all night. What that's going to do is cause over time, right, over the hours, or the wee hours of the night, wee hours of the morning, oh, that MACD red line is going to keep going up, 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 up. See what I'm saying? Like this. So Sunday night into Monday. And if Monday is a green day, oh, that's just gonna basically guarantee that on the 1 hour MACD, this red line gets back up to the zero line like this. See what I'm saying? So that's what I want you guys to look out for. What I'm basically suggesting is if Monday shows the follow through that is needed, if Monday shows the follow through, I'm not saying that it will. I'm just saying look out for this. If it shows that follow through, boy, oh boy, I think we're in for a new upcycle. I think that's what it is. It just, right now, the patterns suggest we're at the end. Friday marked the end of that huge cycle. Lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. Pivot to stop it. See what I'm saying? Every time we got the pivot, it stops in its tracks. Like in this example, let's follow this up, 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 stop. Stop it. Where it's at. This on 1011, this on 1011 stopped the down cycle that started in August through October. See that? Down, 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 down. It just kept going down. We were making, I don't have it on my screen, but trust me, we're making some lower, way below this line, way below the negative 20 line. Like on the 4-hour, you can see it right here. See that? We're coming up from this. It's right here in this example. October, yeah, September 28th, and this is the beginning of October. See that? We're coming up from the depths of wherever we came from, and we were going way down there. See what I'm saying? Here, this is a good example. There's the 4-hour. I don't quite have it as illustrated as well on the 1-hour, but on the 4-hour, as you can see here, we're coming down. We were coming up for air from like the 20-foot side of the pool. Okay, that's where we were coming from. But this notes the pivot. This notes the pivot on 1011 that stopped it. That stopped the fall. It stopped it. And what happened after that? Up. Up. Trend change. See what I'm saying? So here's the data. I mean, right? Here's the data. Every time we have the pivot, it stops the downtrend. And I think if futures and Sunday night and Monday behave as I think that it should, because we already have a notch. Now we just need it to go up. I think that stopped. I think that downtrend stops right there. We are about to start a new uptrend. I'm not saying it's going to have to be like a crazy. I mean, it could be just gradual like this. It could be gradual like this, because all the while you notice we're making higher lows, guys. That is higher than that is higher than that is higher than that is higher than that. As of Friday, you got some wick up too. Just like you had a wick up right there. Wick up, and this is a pivot point up. Wick up, and you got a pivot point. See what I'm saying? This is a totally different, like that's what I was saying in last night's video. This is a totally different scenario, in my opinion. Let me go back to that slide. Go back to this guy. Yeah. This is a totally different scenario than this or that. It's just totally different because of this configuration makes it different. Right there. This changes the rules to now you got to compare it to something like this. Right? So now I just showed you the 1-hour, 4-hour, and daily stacked vertically so you can see exactly how. Like all of that could have been is explained. All the pivot points are explained. Why we didn't fall. So, but I know the conventional wisdom is, oh look, well see we went up there, kissed the 200, failed, kissed the 200, failed, kissed the 200, failed. But there are other ways of looking at it also. See what I mean? That this may be just going out trying to carve out a bottom. You know, whereas this, it's like, geez, you know. So, because the patterns on the MACD don't look the same. they don't look the same at all. Actually, see, like, yeah, for example, in all of 2022, I mean, the MACD was just coming from way down here, way down here. You know what I mean? Spending half of its energy just trying to get back up to the zero line. You know, but what we could be just literally as of yesterday, Friday, is this is the natural end of what started here. And we have a notch. And I think a new one is starting come Monday. And we are above the zero line, meaning we are pivoting above the zero line. And as I showed you earlier, every time they have the notch on the 1 hour, it stops the 4 hour in its tracks, and it stops the daily from falling as well. At the very least, the daily flattens out, right? At the very least, the daily flattens out, like right here, right here. It was falling, falling, 4 days straight, by the way, 4 days straight, but it flattened out right there. Flattened out as soon as you got the notch. Because the 4 days consecutive fall was so significant, driving it below the -20 line, forcing the markets, you gotta put a notch in there. You gotta stop it. You gotta stop the leak. Stop the leak with that plug. You gotta stop it. Because if you don't, further down we go. We're going down, guys. Further down we go. So that notch stops the leak. It plugs the leak. See? We got a notch again. All right. So that is basically what I wanted to show you guys today. Again, I'm just asking you guys to be on the lookout for this. I'm going to see what happens because I'm definitely going to report on it Monday evening after close, right? I'll give you the latest. What's the pattern look like? What's the 1 hour look like? What's the 4 hour look like? What's the, yeah. Because I'm telling you guys, if this daily flattens out, which I think it's going to, at the very least, it flattens out, the game is still game on. That's not bearish. If at the very least the daily MACD flattens out, as a result of the 4 hour and the 1 hour doing their job, you can't say that's bearish at all. That's still bullish. Okay? So, there you have it. There's the data. You let me know what you think. But these are my interpretations. Actually, that I've always been saying in the videos. I said last night, I think we bottomed. We have the notch, we bottomed. And the 1 hour MACD is already starting to curl up. Let me zoom in right there. Zoom in. There, see? It's curling up, separating. You've got the notch. Okay, so this is what happened on Friday. At opening bell, you all know what happened. The first 30 minutes-ish, whatever, it was surging up. But then we fell for the rest of the day. That's what this slight down angle is. That created the higher high. That created the higher low, the higher low on the notch. So right at opening bell, we were at the tip of the triangle, the top of the triangle. And we were holding strong for a while, and all of a sudden, boop, fell. So then we were just floating down all day, right? And that created the higher low, creating the notch, or finishing the notch. But then, you guys know what happened in the final hour. It started to go back up, right? That's now you're getting the separation. So, last time that happened, watch out. See? And so now I'm starting to figure out what the markets are really doing. They are pumping it, pumping it, pumping it, knowing it is going to come down, but at a higher low than where it started. So that they get a higher low, and if it's near the zero line, you're still in business. You're not going to fall that much. Pump it again. Come on down, come on down, come on down. Well, this is on 11:10. Remember that? See that? It's just like a big pump scheme. Pump it, knowing it's going to come down. So it's basically a strategy now. Now that I clearly now see what the heck they're doing. Every time they pump it like that, you can just short it at the height. Because for the next several days, it's just gonna guaranteed it's going to retrace almost 90% where it started from. So you just short it until it gets down to about 90% retracement, and then you go long again, and then you can just follow the pump up, right? Follow the pump up, and then when you start to see it start to flatten out or curl over, short it for a couple days, right? Over and over and over again. See that? Short it, short it, short it, short it until you start to see a higher low or a notch. Okay, oh, now I got to get calls. Pump it for the calls. Short it up here. Short it, short it, short it, short it, short it, short it until you start to see it create the higher notch. Oh, I got to get calls. See what I mean? That's the pattern now to be playing to, in my opinion. Just play to the MACD pattern. Anytime you see these huge surges, which we all think, this week could be the Santa Claus rally, right? Up, calls, and then obviously you can short it. So let us see, guys. So that's my request of you. Just be on the lookout for it, and then we'll just regroup Monday evening after the trading day and see where we're at. Okay, I'm just asking you to be on the lookout for this, not to necessarily make a decision yet whether this is reasonable or crazy talk. Just be on the lookout. Now let's see what happens. We'll regroup again on Monday evening when we've had a lot of data now to work with. Okay, so that is basically all I've got for you guys. Talk to you again soon. Agent 000 out.